I be of assistance?
Yes, I'm looking for Captain Towers.
I'll try to locate him for you. Paulson, show the lady the Captain Towers cabin on the Melbourne.
Thank you very much.
It's a pleasure.
Ava Gardner, born December 24, 1922, Grabtown, North Carolina. She was an American film actress of the 1940s and 50s who, despite her renowned beauty and sensuality, successfully resisted being typecast as a sex symbol. Earthy femininity is an apt and often used description for Gardner's screen persona, a quality acquired in part during her rural upbringing. The daughter of a poor tobacco farmer, Jonas Bailey Gardner and Mary Elizabeth Baker, Gardner was something of a tomboy and gave no thought to an acting career until age 18. When Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer talent scouts spotted portraits of her in the window of her brother-in-law's New York City photography studio, she was given a screen test, in which her lack of refinement and barely intelligible thick drawl prompted MGM studio chief Louis. Mayer proclaimed, "She can't act. She can't talk. She's terrific." Signer heavily coached in acting, poise, and elocution by the studio. Her thick Southern accent made speech lessons a required part of her training. Gardner was shy and intimidated by the process of appearing on camera, and thusly would sometimes drink beforehand to calm her nerves. The camera loved Ava from the minute she first stepped in front of it, and her natural beauty lit up the screen. MGM offered Ava a standard 7-year contract for $50 a week. At the age of 18, Ava was heading to Hollywood. Gardner slowly worked her way up to larger roles. Gardner appeared mostly in decorative bit parts during the first 4 years of her screen career. Her big break came when the studio loaned her to Universal Pictures for the film noir classic The Killers 1946, in which Gardner played a duplicitous seductress opposite screen newcomer Burt Lancaster. The Killers was a huge hit with critics and audiences alike. The movie launched its stars into the Hollywood A-list and over time has earned status as a quintessential film noir. She was subsequently cast in better roles at MGM, where she was promoted as the world's most beautiful animal, and at other studios in such films as The Hucksters 1947, One Touch of Venus 1948, Showboat 1951, and The Snows of Kilimanjaro 1952. Gardner's skill as an actress was best revealed in films she made for such top directors as George Cukor, John Ford, and Joseph Mankiewicz. "I have only one rule in acting," she once said: "Trust the director and give him heart and soul." Many Phil Mankiewicz's The Barefoot Contessa, in which she co-starred with Humphrey Bogart, to be the definitive Gardner film, in that the rags to riches story roughly parallels Gardner's own life. Although a lesser film than either of the aforementioned, Cukor's Bohani Junction 1956 features Gardner in what may be her most praised screen performance, as a half-caste Anglo-Indian heroine torn between two cultures and multiple lovers. Ava continued making movies including The Sun Also Rises 1957 and many more. Gardner endured tempestuous, well-publicized marriages to actor Mickey Rooney 1942 to 1943. The two separated a year later, amid Gardner's accusations that Rooney had been unfaithful. With the end of her first marriage, the down-to-earth Gardner's reputation for drinking, smoking, and partying grew. She also became close with Playboy Howard Hughes. Although Gardner refused to sleep with Hughes, she remained an object of fascination for the reclusive man for years. As Ava was on the brink of career success, she was also in the middle of her second great romance. In late 1944, Ava was introduced to Artie Shaw by a mutual friend, actress Frances Heflin. Having just returned from World War II, Shaw was one of the most popular musicians, composers, and bandleaders of the day. He was handsome, incredibly intelligent, and endlessly charming, and Ava fell for him almost instantly. After dating for several months, Ava moved in with Artie, and on October 17, 1945, the two were married in a small ceremony at their Beverly Hills home. Ava was 22 and Artie was 35. It was his fifth marriage and her second. Despite a longer courtship and living together first, their relationship soured once they were married, and the couple divorced on October 25, 1946. Shaw tried to mold Gardner, who was already insecure about her lack of education, with suggested reading lists. Her real-life femme fatale reputation peaked when she became involved with singer Frank Sinatra, whom she considered the love of her life. As Ava was achieving her greatest successes on screen, she was also living out her greatest personal romance. Ava first met singer and actor Frank Sinatra while she was still married to her first husband, Mickey Rooney. Years later, in 1949, the two would meet again at a party and begin a legendary love story that would ultimately last the rest of their lives, even if the marriage itself didn't. Shortly after Frank's divorce from his wife Nancy became finalized, he and Ava married in a small ceremony on November 7, 1951, so it is safe to say Frank left his family to be with Gardner. Anyway, there were rumors that Ava had a long entanglement with a snooping Howard Hughes, as well as flings with bullfighters Robert Taylor, Mel Tormey, David Niven, John F. Kennedy, Steve McQueen, an abusive George Scott, and an unsuccessful attempt to lure Robert Stack into a foursome. He suddenly got a stomachache. They realized they could no longer be a married couple. Their divorce was finalized on July 5, 1957. Despite reconciling several times afterward, they were never able to make it work out for long. After her marriage with Frank Sinatra ended, Ava started to reevaluate her career and be more selective with her film projects. She largely transitioned to more character roles and found opportunities to work with the period's most influential directors.
Let's hear the new song, will you? Would you mind doing that in her dressing room? I'm trying to put on a show.
Oh, but Jake, this is a holiday season.
It's over for you, kiddo. Work.
Films like On the Beach, 1959, directed by Stanley Kramer, and 7 Days in May, 1964, directed by John Frankenheimer, gave her challenging parts and brought her international critical acclaim. In 1964, Ava co-starred with Richard Burton and Deborah Kerr in director John Huston's adaptation of Tennessee Williams' The Night of the Iguana. For her earthy performance as innkeeper Maxine Falk, Ava received a Golden Globe nomination and top prize at the San Sebastian International Film Festival. The 1970s and 1980s saw Ava make more shifts in her career, finding opportunities to work in genre pictures and television. Ava starred in a string of disaster and horror films like Earthquake 1974, The Cassandra Crossing 1976, and The Sentinel 1977. In her last decade, Ava performed in one season of the popular CBS primetime soap opera Knots Landing and several television miniseries. At age 33, Ava wanted to escape the constant glare and scrutiny of the entertainment press. She left her life in Hollywood and permanently moved to Madrid, Spain. For more than 10 years, she fully embraced the city's vibrant culture of flamenco dancing and both rates. Then, in 1968, Gardner was ready to shift to a quieter life, which she found by moving to London, England. She would stay in her adored Ennismore Square apartment for the rest of her life. During her years abroad, Ava returned to America often for her career commitments and to visit her family in North Carolina. Ava's last public appearance in her home state was in 1978 at the Rockridge School reunion, and her last visit to Smithfield was in May 1985. During her years abroad, Ava returned to America often for her career commitments and to visit her family in North Carolina. Ava's last public appearance in her home state was in 1978 at the Rockridge School reunion, and her last visit to Smithfield was in May 1985. In the late 1980s, Ava's health began to decline. She suffered a stroke in 1986 and passed away from pneumonia on January 25, 1990. She made a final return trip home to be buried in the Gardner family plot at Smithfield's Sunset Memorial Park Cemetery, less than 1 mile from the Ava Gardner Museum. And although Ava has been married 3 times, she never had any children, according to a source online. The marriages she had were rocky, even with the love of her life, Frank Sinatra. She did not want to bring children into a family that wasn't stable. But anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this little bio, and if you made it to the end, don't forget to subscribe. See you guys in the next video.
I have hundreds of different varieties of ants in this country.
Oh, yes, I saw quite a few ants this afternoon. But I guess they were just the old-fashioned kind, huh?